So I don't know if it's tomorrow or whether it's in 3 years. But if you wait too late, you will not be ready. Somebody else will eat your lunch. It's as simple as that.
As the total market value has increased by 2.5% over the last day, the crypto markets as a whole have recovered. Following a turbulent few days during which the SEC increased their crackdown activities. The SEC originally targeted Kraken for their staking as a service program, before going after Paxos for using a Finance USD token. Several people are unsure of how crypto will develop in respect to stable coins given the US regulatory approach. Changpeng Zhao, the CEO of Binance, stated during a Twitter AMA that he thinks stable coins would move away from the dollar as their primary support and turn to the euro, yen, and the Singapore dollar instead. Macro analyst and investor Raoul thinks that all of this is just noise, and that the major players in the market are all preparing for the widespread adoption of cryptocurrency and Web3. Regardless of the negative publicity grabbing headlines or the direction of stable coins, Powell believes that all of this is just noise. Raoul discussed fictitious situations and the tokenization of brands by large banks and financial businesses in an interview with Somi Ariane. Raoul continued by explaining how many adoption initiatives are being worked on behind the scenes at various levels, including private financial institutions, governments, and IT firms. The takeaway from Raoul's story is that adoption is coming, so you best get used to it or risk being left behind.
This is like having the telephone or the internet, right? It's not, I don't like it, or it goes up and down in price. It's irrelevant what you think. The technology genie is out of the bottle. The technology is not going away. And it's growing at an extraordinary pace. And we've already seen California starting to try car documents on the internet. We're seeing real estate. We're seeing the European Investment Bank using bonds. We're seeing various countries experimenting with currencies, central bank digital currencies. We're seeing it's at every level. So everybody's opinion is absolutely irrelevant right now about what they think and what it should be. And oh my God, FTX. It's nothing to do with all of that. That is just one of the manifestations of how people can utilize this market. And that's buying and selling securities or tokens or whatever. In financial markets is full of that, Currency, everybody does it almost every day without even realizing it. They're trading currencies when they buy something off the US Amazon website. People don't even know, but financialization of everything is there. So, should stuff be regulated? Of course. But that is not the technology. The technology is all of the things we're talking about, is how to leverage behavioral science and technology itself with distributed ledger systems to disrupt almost every business model, because it's more efficient, it's faster, and it's safer. And in this world, it's really important. We can't navigate this world any longer with KYC. We have to go to my bank, get a letter signed, go and find some utility bill, put that. It's ludicrous. The whole lot can be done in 1 second on blockchain. Now, India's done this, but not on blockchain. They have something called India Stack, and you authenticate yourself with your fingerprint or your retina scan. And within that, you can attach what's known as India Stack, which is all of your KYC documentation, including your medical records and your university certificates. And I can go into a bank and open a bank account with my fingerprint. I don't need a wallet. I don't need a passport. I don't need anything, because it's all in there. They see it all. They authenticate it. Done. Seconds. Now think of how many staff you can save. Think of the costs that you save. Think of how much happier your customers are if they don't have to do all of this shit every time you try and do something. Imagine having one authentication where all the KYC document is. So all of this is happening. And I speak to Google, Facebook, I speak to LinkedIn, I speak to Meta, all of these networks. They're all going down this route. Look, we've just seen this with AI. We knew it was coming. We all knew it was coming. And then it came in a way that shocked us to our core. I mean, everybody is like, okay, everything has changed. Society's changed. We don't even know what it means for education. We don't even know what it means to be a human in certain aspects anymore. The industries we thought wouldn't be disrupted, the creative industries, were disrupted first. Right, so the scale of what is happening in AI and how fast that came, that was the fastest adoption of any product ever. 20 days, 0 to 11 million people. And if you listen to the CEO of Microsoft, he's saying the same thing. It's like blockchain will have that moment when something happens. India's already testing blockchain CBDCs.
Yeah.
And I spoke to the chief fintech officer of the Monetary Authority of Singapore, and he's like, oh my God, you should see India's software application for the CBDC. It's basically like cash. So I can just flick you a 50 rupee note and it goes to you. It's also private. And the way of using cash in a way that is really simple for people, that is recorded on the blockchain so they understand their money supply and all of the elements of economics that they can do it and running an economy. That's just one of these things. So, if you're an investment bank, every part of your borrowing and lending is toast. It's all gone because it'll happen on a blockchain ledger, and you will be as an investment bank, you will be a wholesaler to that system. About this, I got asked by the marketing group of Great Britain to go and present about Web3 by the chairman. And he's like, listen, they're going to be a tough crowd because they're quite stodgy, white and old. But, people need to hear this. So it's black tie at Claridge's. And anybody who doesn't know, Claridge's is a very fancy hotel and how to wear the dinner suit, all of this stuff. So I gave my talk. And I did it kind of in the round, allowing questions as we go, because a lot of people's knowledge is, different parts of the journey. At one point, a lady stood up who was a chief marketing officer from a very big firm based in the UK and said, and she must have been in her late 50s, and she's like, this is all a scam. This whole thing is a scam. This is like, this is evil, this is terrible. And what happened was about 20% of the room stood up and applauded. Right, that's where we are in this space. The UK is well behind the US. South Korea is probably ahead of the US. There's different people. UK regulations better, Switzerland, Singapore, but this is the split still of people like, I always step back and don't take this personally. I think, why the reaction? Like if somebody said, oh, we've got mobile phones, somebody's going to go, oh, that's outrageous. Like, no, it's just a technology. Why the emotional response? And what it was is that chief marketing officer had to go from the old world of television advertising and radio advertising to internet. And they'd won. They got through. That's why they're the chief marketing officer. They survived that massive transition everybody had to go through. And then they're there in their late 50s at the peak of their career, and they're told, sorry, that's not the peak. We got Web3 to go now. And they're like, I'm not doing it. I can't take this on board. I can't deal with it. And that's an issue that I think people will still find is even if you're watching this and you're having an emotional reaction to it, you need to ask why you're having that reaction. Right? It's like we all have an emotional reaction to AI, and we know why. It's because, am I worthless as a human? What is my sense of worth? And they're okay to ask these questions. But if you're having an emotional reaction to blockchain technology because FTX went bust, well, then you should have that about the entire banking system and every other startup that's ever happened that's gone bust. You don't. You distance yourself from them. And so you need to say, well, not all banks, the entire system of money is terrible because Lehman went under. Yes, there's structural issues with the banking system, but we don't draw that conclusion. But in this, they do. Why? Because it's a big threat. Nobody knows what it means. My business model has to change. Therefore, I can shout at the clouds or I can embrace it. My view is you always have to embrace your own disruption, because if not, you'll just be the angry bystander watching it all go by.
Write down your comments below. If you thought the content was useful, please take a moment to watch some of our other videos and click the like button below. That is all for now.